This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to the Wire Broker Edition, the week in real estate, presented in digestible bites. Hold on while our AI hosts take us on another ride through this week's top real estate headlines.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive Wire listeners. This week, we're really zoning in on you, the broker owners, looking at the big shifts, the strategy shaking out in the brokerage world as we head towards 2025.
That's right. We've got, quite a stack of info to unpack today. Think of it as your fast track to what's really critical. We've been digging into reports, recruiting insight, T360s, Meg 1000, some direct talks with leaders at KW Windermere, plus keeping an eye on those big moves at places like Corcoran, RMAX, Christie's, C21, the list goes on.
Okay, so let's just dive right in then. Our mission today, cut through the noise, pinpoint the key trends, maybe some surprises, and most importantly, get to those practical takeaways, things you can actually use to, strengthen your brokerage for next year. So where do we even start with all this?
Well, it feels like we have to start with the agents, right? It's always the core. And that recruiting insight report, it really paints a picture of what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That one jumped out at me too. 13%. 13% of active agents switched firms in 2024.
Right.
I mean, just let that number sink in. It's huge movement.
It really is. And when you tie that to the volume, what was it, over $480 billion in sales volume moving? Yeah. And the median agent who moved brought like $3 million with them.
Yeah.
It just highlights the stakes. Recruiting and retention, it's incredibly high stakes.
And the report basically says having a strong plan for attracting agents isn't just nice to have anymore.
Not at all. They were pretty blunt. It's survival. You either lead or bleed. Really makes you think you need a proper strategy, not just sort of reacting when people leave.
Right. And they called out some key things brokerages need to shout about, leadership quality, the support you offer, training, tech, and culture, of course. Always culture. Seems basic, maybe, but those are clearly the deciders for agents.
And what was really interesting, the number one reason agents actually leave.
What was it?
Dissatisfaction, specifically with broker support and compliance.
Ah, okay. So not just about the money, the commission splits.
Exactly. It suggests that making sure agents feel supported, making onboarding smooth, giving them the tools they need, that can really lower the risk for them if they're thinking of moving.
That totally makes sense. If you feel like you're swimming upstream with compliance or just not getting help, you'd look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the report mentioned exit interviews too, right? Like actually finding out why people are leaving and fixing those things.
Yeah, understanding those pain points. And here's a kicker I found fascinating.
Go on.
The only type of brokerage that didn't see a net loss of agents in 2024. The tech-enabled ones.
Wow. Okay. That says a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
Shows how critical tech is now, not just for getting agents in the door, but for keeping them happy.
Totally. And it's not just about, having fancy software. It's, does it actually help them? Does it make their day easier, help them sell more?
Precisely. How it integrates.
Now, the Realtor Broker Summit, they were talking about this too, weren't they? Agent recruitment, retention. They had some practical tips.
They did, yeah. John Cheplak's point about stopping the feature dumping, I thought that was great.
Explain that.
Well, instead of just listing every single thing your brokerage offers, focus on what that specific agent actually needs. Solve their problem.
Right. Tailor the conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said it takes, an average of 14 interactions before an agent moves?
14.
Wow. So it's not a quick sell. It's about building that relationship, that trust over time.
Makes sense. More like a courtship than a hard pitch. Start simple, non-salesy messages first.
Right. And Holly Mayberry from XP, she talked about building that winning culture. Having clear growth paths for agents, tracking performance, sharing success, being transparent. It all adds up to an environment people want to be part of.
And flexibility. That came up too.
Oh, huge. Especially now. Agents want systems that work for them.
Yeah, that old rigid model.
Yeah.
Just doesn't fly for many agents these days. And Loredana Gitte from KW really hit on retention, didn't she?
She did. About proactively finding and solving agent problems before they become reasons to leave.
Like regular check-ins.
Right, check-ins, giving them valuable stuff like market updates, good training, things that show you're invested in them.
Which really connects back to that recruiting insight point about support being the #1 reason people leave.
Exactly. Tackle the support issues head on.
Now, speaking of agents moving,
Right.
we have to mention LPT Realty. That growth was, well, pretty staggering.
Oh, absolutely. That 194.9% jump in sales volume in 2024 from the T360 report. You can't ignore that.
And it sounds like their hybrid revenue share model is a big part of the draw.
It seems to be. What's really notable is that growth seems mostly organic agent attraction, not big buyouts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it suggests their model, their value proposition is really resonating, and pulling agents from more established places definitely makes you reconsider the traditional comp models.
Okay, so the agent battle is clearly fierce. Let's pivot a bit. The other big trend, consolidation, M&A. The T360 Mega 1000 report really shines a light there.
It really does. I mean, the top 1,000 brokerages now control, 64.1% of the market share?
64%. Wow.
Yeah, and that's driven by these mergers, acquisitions, plus just faster growth among the big players. Market power is definitely concentrating.
And Compass is a big example, right?
Right.
Buying at World Properties.
Yeah, the parent of At Properties, Christie's International, plus some other regionals, added something like 4,600 agents just through those deals.
Huge number. And their sales volume jumped over 25%.
Shows how acquisitions can really move the needle on market share. But it's not just the absolute giants doing this.
Right, like that RE/MAX example in Florida.
Exactly. RE/MAX Advanced Realty, merging with Dream Life Realty. Added 181 agents, became the biggest RE/MAX in South Florida. And that was their 8th deal since 2020.
8th. Okay, so that's a very deliberate long-term strategy.
Clearly, they're actively buying growth.
And then you had Redicio Realty in Illinois joining RE/MAX, rebranding.
Right, RE/MAX Future. Their whole plan seems to be leveraging the RE/MAX brand and resources to grow fast. Shows the pull of the big franchise infrastructure.
Definitely. And that massive Century 21 merger in California.
Oh yeah, C21 Masters and C21 Real Estate Alliance, creating the biggest C21 there, over 2,000 agents, 50-plus offices.
Wow.
The idea is scale, right? Better local expertise, more agent support across a bigger network.
Makes sense. And C21 Middleton expanding in Texas and bringing Arkansas under the brand. Again, leveraging that national name recognition.
Yep. But it's not just franchises attracting independents either. Look at Keller Williams Coastal Virginia picking up Austin James Realty.
Right. Only 23 agents, but KW's operational support was the key reason mentioned.
Yeah, shows even smaller, solid independents see value in the back-end systems and support a larger brand offers.
And then there are the big agent moves, the team moves.
Like Kirsten Jordan from $1 Million Listing, moving her team to Corcoran from Douglas Elliman.
Yeah, that's a profile booster for Corcoran, for sure.
Definitely strategic. And Christy Serino getting Christina Kozrolavati, who used to have her own brokerage, back by side.
Right. Suggests even successful independent brokers are sometimes drawn back to the stability or prestige of an established luxury brand.
So you put all these pieces together, the huge mergers, the franchise affiliations, the individual team moves.
Yeah.
It just paints a really clear picture. Brokerages, big and small, are actively looking for growth. Through recruiting, yes, but also very much through these strategic combinations, these M&A deals. It's a very active space.
Okay, so we've got the agent churn, the M&A wave. When you step back and look at all this, what's like the big surprise? What jumps out?
Well, for me, it's this kind of disconnect. You hear about a potentially slow real estate market, economic uncertainties for 2025 in that recruiting insight report.
Right, and T360 showed transaction declines overall.
Exactly. But despite that backdrop, these top brokerages, they aren't just treading water. They're actively growing, grabbing more market share.
That is the interesting part, isn't it? It's not a universally tough market, it seems.
No, it suggests a real split. The big, well-resourced firms have strategies that are working, allowing them to thrive, even with headwinds. Maybe smaller firms are feeling the pinch more.
Could be. And then you throw in LPT Realty's crazy growth, a newer player scaling that fast. It kind of defies the narrative of, needing decades to build scale.
Totally. It just underscores that effective strategies, whether it's recruitment, M&A, or an innovative business model, are really making a difference right now.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, connecting the dots, what's the key takeaway here for broker owners listening? What should they be focusing on heading into 2025?
Well, I think it's clear you need a plan with multiple parts, right? You can't just focus on one thing. You absolutely have to be strategic about attracting agents, but just as importantly, keeping the ones you have. That means really digging into what they need. Support, tech that works, a culture they like, real growth opportunities. It's the whole package.
Right, not just the split.
Definitely not just the split. And then You have to be aware of this consolidation trend.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean everyone needs to merge, but understand it's happening. For some, maybe exploring a strategic merger or acquisition is the right growth path. At least be aware of the option.
So keep your eyes open on the M&A front.
And just navigate smartly. Watch what's working for others. Why are agents going where they're going? What models are gaining traction? How are the big guys consolidating? Use that intel to shape your strategy. Be ready to adapt.
Okay. So for you, the broker owner, navigating these currents into 2025, the landscape's definitely changing. Lots of agent movement, strategic consolidation, competitive pressures.
Yep. We've talked about needing to be proactive on talent attracting and keeping them, the potential growth through smart partnerships or M&A, and just staying sharp, ethically navigating competition.
We hope this deep dive gives you a solid framework for thinking about your brokerage's next steps. What really hit home for you from this discussion? What challenges or opportunities does it spark? Maybe what new questions do you have about your own path forward?
Yeah, definitely encourage you to think about how these big themes apply to your specific market, your business goals.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning into The Wire.
If you're interested in your own personalized edition of The Wire, please visit us at thewire.fm/custom. We offer market-specific podcasts with all the latest real estate news and market analysis delivered to you weekly or monthly. Own your market with a personalized edition of The Wire, the week in real estate. Thank you for listening.